believe this is on?
Yes.
Awesome. So my name is JP. I am with the Helsinki Commission for the summer, actually. And in some of the same vein as the questions you've got already, I am curious how you would approach this question of a phenomenon that I think is well observed in the post-Soviet space, in the long shadow of imperial and ideological collapse of states like Armenia, for example, coming into conflict with state churches, which they believe to be operating as agents of foreign influence or as agents which are hostile to democratic development or westward alignment. And with this in mind, and bearing in mind especially these legitimate concerns, how would you propose that these states address the legacy of empire and of communism in a way which respects the rights and dignities of religious organizations and religious institutions which do have long-standing histories in those countries or are brand new?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think there's, a couple different elements to that. One is in the former Soviet space, just the revival of religious life after the imposed atheism. As bad as Russia is right now on religious freedom issues, it's a heck of a lot better than it was during the Soviet period. That's not saying much, but that's still true. And so, the interest of these, the Soviet republics as it became nations to establish their identity with faith is a huge component of that. Makes sense that it wanted to elevate, favor, help reestablish the traditional Orthodox Church, the traditional Islamic faith. The challenge has been from a human rights and religious freedom perspective, if they're only allowed to have one faith. And international standards, OSCE standards don't prohibit the establishment of official church or official faith, as long as other faiths aren't penalized or criminalized for also existing. So you can sort of compare United Kingdom. King Charles is the head of the Church of England, but there's great religiosity, great religious diversity in that OSCE member, compared against like Saudi Arabia, where there's only one form of Islam allowed to be practiced and all others are banned, and of course there's no church. So creating that legal environment that allows groups to register and have legal identity is important. And I think this is one of the unique things about the OSCE region is you have a lot of different registration systems that have been established that are supposed to enhance the free practice of faith, but often are applied in such a way to limit it. And the OSCE has some really fabulous, groundbreaking standards on that and analysis on that through the panel of experts. But you have everything from like Slovakia, which requires, if you want to form a new church, if we wanted to form a new religious community, we need to get signatures from 50,000 other people. Okay, that's discriminatory. It's not persecution, but it's discriminatory. It sets winners and losers. Or Hungary, you need to have 2/3 of the parliament vote approve the establishment of a new faith community. Or you look at the former Central Asia. There, the numbers are lower, but there's all these sort of opt-out clauses that make it virtually impossible for new Muslim groups or non-Muslim groups to establish. I think those are the challenges in this sort of post-colonial, post-Soviet space of establishing firm protections for religious freedom. And actually, they're established, seeing them applied and lived out on the ground.